Hello and welcome to Turner Truck and Tractor. My name's Les. Hey, here lately I've been working hard and feeling a little accomplished. We finished up on my brother's 1970 C10, and in the one video, a couple of videos back, the best of no show, go take a look at it. We found out what's wrong and I'll tell you all about it. But the other thing you see is no Oliver tractor here under the tree. So let's go take a look. All right, we took the John Deere 2025R, also known as Kermit, and we pulled and then we pushed the Oliver into the shop. You can see marks on the floor or on the ground where we had to put it in four-wheel drive. Some boards were involved to hold it for a second. And here we are. Real quick on the C10, right before we went to the truck show, the night before, we swapped out the points and condenser distributor for an HEI unit, and I don't recommend doing it the night before. So we leave for our trip, everything goes great, hadn't run better, and it just like you turn the key off and it wouldn't run anymore. So we worked on it, swapped ignition parts, nothing. We got it towed to the barn. It's out there. We even revisited the barn, swapped out some more parts, nothing. We went back again, and this time I told my brother I'm not going unless we take a trailer, and famous words right there. Good thinking, actually. We got up there, worked on it, nothing, so we went ahead and trailered it up and brought it home and took the cap off. I said, hey, hit the starter and let's just take a look. Well, the rotor wouldn't spin anymore, and so we knew we had bigger troubles that we were definitely not going to fix on the side of the road. So long story short is the timing chain just finally came off of, and that top sprocket that drove the camshaft was totally wore out. And the truck is all original with about 130,000 miles on it. So I'm a little surprised at that, but it was wore. It barely had any teeth on that sprocket. So, yeah, no wonder it just stopped. So put a new timing chain on it, and getting that cover back on was a little bit of chore, but we got it all back together and it's running good now. And so it's back home. So it left an open spot here in the shop. So we were able to get the tractor from underneath the shade tree. So it's graduated from shade tree to a place here in the shop. And my brother and I, we were just sitting around and we said to ourselves, well, we could work on the Oliver and talk just as much as we can just sit and talk. So the nice thing about older equipment, it's easy to work on, and it wasn't much time, and we had the head off of it. Before we look at that, I can already tell just sitting around, it's got a axle leak, I believe, that rear seal. And I'm not surprised because there's a bad spot in this tire. Let me see if I can find it here. Right here. You can see where it had dripped right here on the tire, and it's just made that rubber so soft right there and just ruined a good tire, unfortunately. So I've got a seal in the near future on that. All right, so let's look at the task at hand. In fact, let me bring you to the other side. I need to clean out that power steering reservoir because you can see that it's leaking. No surprise there. But there's the rocker arms and push rods, and they're taken apart and laid in order. And here's the cylinders. All right, cylinder number 1 looks halfway decent. One thing I've noticed right there, to me, probably about 4 o'clock, it's hit something in its life, and it's not a valve because it doesn't have like a smile to it, but it's hit something there a couple of times. And I can also see it has one dimple right there. So I'm thinking this engine has been apart once before, at least in its lifetime. Number 2 is probably the best cylinder out of the whole bunch. Looks pretty normal, wear and tear wise, and it has 2 dimples on it, so that follows suit and makes sense. Number 3 is not good. You could maybe make it work, but it'd be an oil user. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got some ridges and scratches right there that you can definitely hang a nail on. So I don't know if it's the edge of a ring or a broken ring that's gouged it right there. So it'd be an oil burner right there. Number 4 right here is absolutely terrible. You can see a ridge right there. So I'm sort of wondering if this thing didn't sit and sort of get seized up or close to it. Someone hit the starter or tried to pull it and let the clutch out while it was in gear. And this piston was on its way down, and that's all it moved. And they gave up, which I think they would have torn up more if they would have continued on. And it may not show up very well in the light because you're on the shaded side, but that is just pitted terribly. Here, let me stop the camera and get a light. All right, I've got a camera in one hand and a light in the other. Let's see if I can still walk and chew gum and talk at the same time. So you can take a look at that there. It looks just pretty bad. Let me see if I can get a good angle on it. And then on this cylinder, number 5, it's really terrible. And if you look at here, I'll turn the camera to about 12 o'clock. It even has look like a cavity. The piston's just rusting away. A big chunk of it came loose. So that's a whole lot of not good. But then here's the other mystery. On cylinder number 6, it only has 5 dimples. In about the same relative location where everyone else has dimples as well, but their number count corresponds to the cylinder that it's supposed to be in. So why this one has 5, I have no idea. This one on cylinder number 5, I can't see any dimple marks on it. It's sort of hard to tell. And on this one right here, I see some dimple marks, but yeah, it's pretty rotted away. And even the corner of this piston is rotting away. There's some pretty big pits right there. So my thoughts of getting this tractor running as it is was probably a failed attempt, or a failed thought. At least it didn't get attempted much if it's not seized up. So I'm going to break out the wallet and get on the internet and order some parts. So that's where we're at today. While I was moving around the shop, I thought, hey, let's show you the cylinder head. And here's the top of it. And as seen before, that exhaust valve on cylinder number 6 is still stuck down a little bit. And then this valve on cylinder number 4 is still stuck. And that spring and retainer is still on it, so it's trying to pull the valve up, but it is still stuck in the open position. Here's the ports, and again, the light doesn't do it justice, but it just looks nasty down inside there. That cylinder, gross, and when I touch it, it just knocks it deeper into it. So this whole cylinder head's going to have to go to the shop, sadly. All right, so here's the other working end. This is the bottom of the head, and this is cylinder number 1. All the way down to 6, and again, yeah, you can see that valve open right there. So, thought about doing a Mortski and hitting that valve with the hammer and driving it back, and I did tap on it, and it sounds pretty solid. And whenever I do that, just trash falls down and comes out. So if I hammer it that way, it's just going to seat against that trash. So let's clean up that head a lot first before we go doing crazy stuff like that. Right, now for the oil drain. All right, didn't strip anything. That's a good sign. And we'll feast our eyes on what may or may not come out of here. Yeah, there's some water in there. A lot of water. It sort of looks like antifreeze, but it doesn't smell like antifreeze. All right, where's the oil at? Come on, oil. I'm cheering you on. That might be part of our problem. Yeah, there's a little chunk in there. All right, there's the oil. A little bit. Alright, we got a little oil here. There we go. I think it's supposed to hold around 4 or 5 quarts of oil, and right now we're about 2.5 gallons into a 5-gallon bucket. And after this, we'll pull the oil pan off after I clean up the spot for me to lay underneath it. Yeah, that's not the picture of health, is it? If your oil comes out looking like a milkshake, you got issues. And I think this this tractor's got more problems than a high school math book. Before I left last night, I sprayed some PB in each cylinder, and you can see that one is almost dry and leaked down. This one the same here. That one, it's retaining a little bit of it. This next cylinder, the same thing, it's holding it. Cylinder number 5, it didn't drain down any, but you can see that it does creep and seep upwards on that cylinder. So, you know, that's good to know that it does that. And then cylinder number 6, it's dry around the rings, it did leak down. So there's the situation on that. All right, and so today, you know, a little bit at a time, if I can get the oil pan off today, I will feel successful, and I did my thing. I've got a Ziploc bag for the oil pan bolts, and that sort of my informal way of maintaining order and inventory around here. And I won't show it all while I do it, but I wanted to show you what it looks like up underneath here and what I'm working on and or working against. All right, so for y'all, about 3 o'clock is the front of the tractor, and relatively clean, but yeah, there's some bolts that are covered with grease, but at least you can sort of see where they're at, where sometimes you don't even get that much. But no other surprises here. Just a dirty tractor. One thing I did notice right here, let's see if I can get the light to stick. Here we go, that's not too bad. Is right here on this castle nut. I guess the cutter pin came out. They've got like a small dowel rod. I mean, it's metal through there, but then it looks like they've used some of that Lincoln Loctite to keep that castle nut from backing off. So I don't know if that's been a problem in the past, but they put a permanent fix on it. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. So I have not greased this, or I don't know how much slop, if any. You know, if this is wore out, it wouldn't surprise me if it is. So, but without it running, that's sort of a mute point there. So I'm going to start scraping, and I'll try to get some of these bolts out, and I'll bring you back, and I hope by the end of the day. It could be tomorrow, so we shall see, and I'll report back. All right, I made a little progress. I'll take you along. And when working under a tractor, wear these. Eye protection, keep you from getting a bunch of grease, but it doesn't protect your mouth. So close your mouth, don't be a talker if you're working underneath. And here's a tip for you. If you got your fancy creeper cardboard right there, it gets beyond dirty. Take a feed bag, new creeper, you're good to go. And it's reversible. That gets too dirty, you got another side. So here we go. All right, the first thing is the Oliver engineers got me again. This was pretty easy to take off. It was dirty, but it could have been a lot worse, to be honest. And I was able to get all those 1/2-inch bolts except for these two in the back. And then you've got to take off that little plate right there, which goes to the flywheel cover, or you know, like a torque converter on automatic transmission here underneath. And that plate goes right here and separates this, and you can't get to this any other way but taking off that plate. So why? I don't know. So here's the oil pan. Yeah, and it's got 3/4 of an inch of just pure slop in it. Just muck. I don't even know what that is. It's just like oil, water, grease, dirt, I don't know. Just nasty stuff right there. So if you've got a tractor, at some point you need to cut your losses if you're trying to make it run. If you put a bunch of cleansers in there and some mystery products and everything else, it might just emulsify all that, and there's no way that pickup tube screen is going to be able to handle that, and you're going to starve your engine for oil, or all this stuff is going to get broken up and clog up your oil return lines all over the place, and then especially your oil filter. It can't handle this. So at some point you're just going to have to bite the bullet and cut your losses and clean it out the hard way, and then you've got a known product and you can go from there. So if I don't do anything else today, I already feel accomplished, but things were going good. Let me see if I can get my light. If the battery still works a little bit more. There's the bottom of the engine. You're seeing it really before I am. And what I plan on doing is, ultimately I want to take the pistons out and shove them out through the top, but I hope to take some caps off and measure that crankshaft for the bearing diameter, so that way I can get some parts ordered. So the next step, if it happens today, I will certainly take you along, and I appreciate your time. Okay, sports fans, it's been a pretty productive afternoon, and I was able to get this connecting rod cap off of cylinder number 5. And all in all, let me get it in the light here, that bearing looks very good. And one thing that I noticed was on this side, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but there's 5 dimples on this, and it corresponds to cylinder number 5. Now, I have not seen the other caps on the other cylinders to see, that would verify this if the neighbor had 4 or 6 to it. And I'm telling myself this as much as I'm telling you this. This is on the distributor side, so on the right hand side. So that way I can keep the orientation consistent with the way it came apart and in the order it came apart. So I'm going to measure this and see if it's been machined or not, and go from there. So I'm going to call it a day. It's been a hot day, but I've had the fan and the air conditioner on, and it's made it quite tolerable. But the battery and the light is out, and I'm a mess. And so hopefully Mrs. Truck and Tractor, easy for me to say plus tax, Mrs. Truck and Tractor will let me in the house. So I think I'm going to end it here, and I will see you later. Thank you. Well, the Tractor brothers are at it again. Let me show you the contraption that Lyle thought up. We've got the floor jack, and then a 3-foot section of pipe, 1-inch pipe on the jack, and then I just cut a groove in it that goes right around the edge of that piston skirt and the sleeve. And so we're picking up on the tractor. I saw it bounce the front tires off, and what we're trying to do is lift this sleeve right on out of here with the piston attached to it. The connecting rod cap is already off, so this should come out, but we've had no success. And then we tried to shock the block by putting this piece of 2x4 and hitting it with a small sledgehammer, thinking, well, that would shock all around there, and no luck. So we need to hit it with a bigger purse or come up with a better plan. So if you have any better plans, put it in the comments below. But we're thinking, if worst comes to worst, get an air chisel and try it from underneath, right, and or get a drill and drill out that piston, or
cut the sleeve.
Yeah. So, cut or grind a notch and try to collapse it in on itself, so, or shrink it down somehow where we can lift it out.
Gotta be careful though, cutting it up around here. I don't want to get into the block.
No, you don't want to get in the native metal right there, no. So that's what we're up to, that's what we're fighting against. But somehow, some way, we will get it. Well, tomorrow is now today, and let me show you a little bit of progress. Here is a piston and connecting rod and cap for the Oliver 770. It took a lot of persuasion, but was able to get it out successfully. Pretty thick skirts on it. It's a pretty heavy piston, and it seems to be cast aluminum, and well done. And let me show you some of the behind the scenes efforts here. I had to get a little violent with it, but I was able to get this sleeve and piston out. However, this piston is seized to the sleeve. It is stuck in there so well I can't get it out. So I took the big hammer there, and then that piece of 1/4-inch iron, and put up underneath and just beleaguered the you-know-what out of it, and gave it a little extra motivation. And it took basically 2 days of hammering on it to get this thing out. So it wouldn't come out on its own anytime soon. So that's what it looks like. And this is the cylinder that had the big pits in the top of the piston, and the inside of the bore was pretty bad. So that's what you get. So I think I'm gonna take a break for lunch now and rest up. I might work on another one later on this afternoon once it cools off, but I wanted to show you the progress and document a little bit of it. Hey everyone, yesterday I walked over to my brother's house down the street because I needed to get this set of tools. The engine is still seized, but I need to get some of the connecting rod cap bolts, the nuts loosened up on them, and I can't reach them with any socket or a U-joint that I have available. So I thought I might give these a try, and I just wanted to show them to you. These are older than I am. These came from Dad. So Dad, thank you, and we're going to put them to good use. We still got them. He's had these for as long as I can remember. So these are easily, 60 to 65 years old. So if you take care of your stuff, it will last. And I was looking at it. Here, let's see if I can show you. It's an Eclipse brand. I've never heard of them in my life. But what I was looking for is a 9/16 with this drop or offset, if that makes sense there. So hopefully I can reach in there and get that connecting rod cap nut off there. So we're going to give it a try, and if it doesn't work, that pretty much ends it for today, and then I've got to try something else. But if it does, hopefully we're getting a little bit more progress done. Well, sadly that offset wrench did not work. But here, let me take you down here and I will show you what I'm working on and what I'm up against. Alright, this is the bottom of the engine with the oil pan off. Here, let me see if I can get a better view. And there's the crankshaft. But that nut right there at the top where my index finger is at, that's what I'm trying to get to, and I can't get a socket and a ratchet or anything on it. And then I can get that offset wrench put on it just nice, but then I can't swing or move the handle on it. This one I can get, and it's already loose. And then this is repeated on those two cylinders, and then on cylinder number 1 right there as well. So that's what we're dealing with. You can see the cam up there as well. I took the oil pump off, but there's the drive that drives the pump and the distributor. Here's the dipstick as it goes into the oil pan. So if you have not seen the inside of an engine before from this view, here you go. And then what I do once I get these nuts off and get that cap off, then I'm able to drive that cylinder up. Here, let's see if I can point it out to you. This right here, I can drive with a big hammer and a piece of stock and drive it up. And it's the head that holds that down during normal operation. Hey everyone, I thought I'd get back with you and show you the cheat code to get those connecting rod cap nuts off. Went to the freighter yesterday and got that dedicated swivel 9/16 on a wobble extension, and that actually did the trick. Still had to force it in there and hold your mouth just right, and then I had trouble getting the socket back out because after it loosens up that nut, it comes in contact with the frame, so I had to sort of rescue it. But victory at last on that. So now I've got all the caps off, and now I can drive the pistons out that will come out. I think there's one that's still stuck, and so we'll just hammer it and the piston sleeve along with it right on out. But there's the cheat code. Hey sports fans, we're back. It's been a busy day. This morning I helped brother Turner Truck and Tractor, get a front tire off the Mack truck, and that was a job, but we got it. So he's got a wheel and tire to take to town come Monday and get a new tire put on it. And now that's the cool evening. I came out in the shop and proceeded to just lean into that piston and sleeve like I normally do. It's almost getting to be a hobby. And I take that sledge and then that piece of stock right there and then put it underneath the engine and just start beating the bottom of the piston up pretty good. I have not pulled this out. I just got it loose. The piston, I think, stuck on a ring groove right here. It probably needed a ridge reamer around it because it was smooth all the way around, but I could hang my fingernail about a 1/4 inch down from the top here. So, all right, so you're seeing the results as I see it, and it's got a O-ring right there that helps seal it, and then all the surface area. So there's the connecting rod. Let's see if I can put this in a way to show you what I'm up against here. Bear with me. And so I stick that bar stock right there inside the piston and just start hammering away. And anytime you're doing that, definitely wear safety glasses or goggles or something, because little chunks of aluminum were falling down, plus you get dirt and grease falling just all the time. So for a safety standpoint, you only got one set of eyes, so please take care of them. So I'm averaging probably about a piston every 2 days, and I'm at the halfway mark, so I've got 3 to go. Maybe with practice I'll get a little bit better. And 2 out of the 3, hopefully I can get the piston out. This one and probably the last one, and you can see they're in the same relation on the stroke. But this one right here, it's seized up and rusted together as much as possible. So I guarantee you this one will come out the same way, sleeve and all. So just have patience and a big hammer and you can do great things. So thought I'd catch you up, and I will talk to you later. Hey, good evening. Good evening and welcome to Turner Truck and Tractor. It is a hot Sunday evening, and that's why I waited to the evening to work on the Oliver, because it was just a little bit cooler. Looking at the forecast on Wednesday, it's supposed to be 104 here, so that might be one day I don't work on the tractor. However, after that, I think we're going to have a little cool front. It's going to be in the low 90s. That I can deal with all day long. So, a little update. All right, we've got 1, 2, and 3 pistons out. We've got 3 pistons left. We've got number 1, number 4, and 6 right here still to deal with. I'm going to start with number 1 right here. It should be relatively easier, and I think on this one I'll take you along and show you what I'm up to. So let me crawl down here, and I'll also get the light, and we'll see if we can make a video out of this yet. All right. And here we go. All right, we're going to take the cap nuts off. I've got a little cup here next to me to store it in for the time being, and then I'll put it right back where they came from. And normally these caps don't just come right off. Nope, and I don't think this one's either. So what I do, and this may be a shaky video just because I'm trying to hold the camera and grab tools and do things with the other hand here. Let's see if I can wiggle it and shake it loose here. Nope, that ain't happening. All right, and you can see the piston on up in there. Let's see if I can find a place to set this camera that's not just totally in the way. I will catch you up on the Oliver 770, but I've got good news to report. We are out of the hundreds and back into the 90s. It's hot, but it still feels so much better. And we've got maybe up to 2 inches of rain that's accumulated, well, easy for me to say, accumulated, and between several little showers that we've received. And it sort of greened up around here a little bit more. Now back to the task at hand. I have now finished all 6 cylinders of getting the pistons and the sleeves taken out. There they are on the ground, laid out in order. And I just wanted to show you what it looks like and a little bit what it took to get it done. And then we may end this video right a little bit after this. And I've got parts on order. I've got new pistons, new cylinders, bearings, and I'm sure this is just one of many orders that will take place. And so the money hemorrhaging has begun. And show you how I got it out. I got my big purse right here. And then I took this about 1/4 inch bar by 2 inch right here, and I don't know, about 1.5 feet or so, and you can see how it's flared out on both ends. And I would just catch the bottom of that sleeve or put it up and catch the skirt of that piston and just start driving it out where I could. I couldn't get all the way around it due to the crankshaft, and it wouldn't move at the time because of the seized pistons. So I was able to get one out at a time, and I averaged probably about one a day. And it wasn't easy. It probably takes about 100 hits in the first 90. You don't think you're doing anything. But then once you feel a little rust and garbage start falling down, you can tell that things are shaking and moving and cracking and loosening up. And then in the next 10, you probably will get it out. Here's what the sleeve looks like. In regular automotive engines, this sleeve is part of the block in the parent material, so this does not come out. These are just dropped in there like that. There is hold still there, a small taper right here, a couple of square edge O-rings, and then it has this step right here, and you've got this surface area, and then that step and that surface area, and it drops down in there. And then the head of the engine bolts down, and that's what holds that down. And this is where it seals at the bottom. And then you've got your water jacket where the coolant goes through the block and through the head and back through the radiator, and then it repeats. So this is, antifreeze, residue, and rust, and anything else. It seemed like they looked better from the front and got worse as you go to the back. And I guess because of the slope of the engine, this is where it's got more, silt or garbage built up in the back of it. Plus, it's the furthest from the water pump, so the circulation may not be as much here in the back. It may be a little calmer waters, so to speak, and so stuff naturally tends to settle out right there. So here's the piston. If you hadn't seen it, so it's got 3 compression rings, and then that bottom one is an oil ring connecting rod that I'm holding on to, and then that's where it bolts to the crankshaft. And I'm going to replace this. I am going to reuse the connecting rod here, and so I need to get these out. And then I've got new bearings for it as well. So now I've got to get these stock pistons out of their sleeves. I'm going to press them out or hammer them out the best I can. If I have to get ugly and harsh with it, I may take the slice and dice
and cut a groove down it or cut it, because I really don't care about them or the pistons themselves. So if I nick or scratch them up, no big deal right there. I do need to salvage the connecting rod and the pins out of it for sure. And I don't know if that metal is hard enough and brittle enough that I may be able to hit it real hard and even crack it and get it out. Here's one piston where you can see where I had to hit it a little bit with that bar. Some of these other ones I hit it so hard that the piston started breaking, and I could feel that falling down in my face as that aluminum chips off there. So may not look like much, but it sure did take a lot of work. So like I said, I've got the parts on order, and when they get here, I'll start a new video and catch you up. And I've got the head soaking right now in some engine degreaser, so I'm going to work on that next, and that's probably the beginning of the next video of this series. And we'll try to start putting this back together. And I appreciate you for watching. And I appreciate your time as well. Take care.